Oh, it's the news again. What's on this time? It's Nazis and COVID. Neukölln Nazis to be exact, and new COVID measures. And police who might be racist. We're all going to die, so crack open the weird canned cocktails and do me up. Cheers.
Hello everybody, this is a new episode of Megan's Megacan. I'm Megan, and I'm here, as always, with the lovely Konrad Werner.
Hello.
Hello. That was very jaunty, how you said that would be the adjective I would use.
Yes. I'm working on my jaunty expression.
Good.
Yeah.
Something we should all be taking time in these trying circumstances to work on.
Yeah. Maybe one day I will be asked to be on, have my own BBC radio show or something like that. And then I thought that they often have like jaunty? A jaunty. Hello.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
So I'm practicing that.
I think you should have your own show. What would be the theme?
Oh, I would do In Our Time with Melvin Bragg, except I would be Melvin Bragg.
I would love you to replace Melvin Bragg.
I'd love to do that.
Me.
Do you? Does
he's very good, but he's smug and annoying.
He's like a teacher, I always think.
Fuck off.
He's like a headmaster.
Yeah, he's definitely got like old school headmaster about him. Like, come along now, don't be.
Yeah.
No, thank you, dear God, no. I have had quite a week. It's the week before the last week of the holidays, which is always mad. Madder than the final week because you can see the end. The penultimate week, shit show. We're also moving schools next week. There's been quite a lot of people off. It's all fine. Kids are exhausted. We're all exhausted. And global pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think there is this level of exhaustion that having that running at the back of your mind all the time is exhausting everyone, teenagers included. So let's drink.
Yes, let's drink.
I hope it's not going to be one of these ones that I had a few glasses of wine last night, and it always makes the first Megacan of the weekend
extra special.
Yeah, but it'll either go that I'll be fine, or I'll do one of these podcasts where I'm shit-faced by minute 13 and just don't make any sense. And I'd like to forewarn, like a trigger warning.
Okay. Drunken person
for
trigger
people.
warning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it like kind of reactivates the alcohol that's already in your system.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, for the first time in Megacan history, I have actually come with backup Megacans because I fear what I have excitedly bought might actually prove to be undrinkable.
Uh-oh, this doesn't sound good.
I would like you to describe what you see for our listeners. You can take them, I clean them.
So I'm looking at one is called, they'll go both by a company called Wildtena.
And the booze is it Goldkrone or something?
Yeah, Goldkrone.
Which I think is some kind of weird brandy, I think, isn't it?
I don't know. This is fascinating,
I think it's like...
this is the most interesting new development in the...
Let me tell you.
Because this is like some kind of cheap German liquor.
Yeah, it's one of those, not quite like corn. I think it's like a brandy-based thing. It's horrendous.
And they've decided that they're going to move into the mixed drinks market.
It's a big market.
Yeah.
It's a big market.
And one of them is, it looks like, well, it would have been suitable for last week's show because it's got a gold chain hanging around it.
Yeah, it's definitely blinged out. It's bright gold. It's got a gold chain on it.
Like a wrapper.
Yeah.
And the other one, they both say Goldkrone and Cola on it.
Yeah, they're the same drink, but two different...
very different
packaging, very different packaging.
And the other one has got like a sort of tropical scene heavily featuring jellyfish.
It's a lot of jellyfish.
So it's like a nautical scene with jellyfish that are flying above the waves, unusually. For
jellyfish.
For jellyfish. With a sunset in the background.
Yes.
And what is also interesting is that the sea looks a bit like something out of Tron. It looks like it's been mapped by a computer in the 1980s.
Yeah, it's very 80s vibes, the jellyfish one, I think.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling? Are you feeling bling or jellyfish?
I'm going to try the jellyfish one.
Also not a sentence I thought I was going to say this week, but here we are.
So I'm going to try Goldkrone and Cola jellyfish variation.
I'll go then in honour of Capital Bra, whose pizza I ate this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to see how I get on with this. It's Weinbrand is the thing, which is this weird brandy. All right, let's
Cheers.
see.
Yeah, they are. Look, 10% by volume, mine says.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. I don't know if we're going to be able to drink these.
To new horizons.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
weeping Jesus. Is
It
that
tastes
bad?
good.
You always have to go back in for the second slurp.
Because there's that kind of gas at the top.
Ugh. Can we drink that?
Was it unusually cheap?
Yeah.
I did look at they're trying to undercut the market, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to because this is pish.
I mean, I'm going to stick with it for now and see how I go.
I do have backups. I just don't
What
want
are
to be
the
put in a
backups?
position where I end up drinking more than one Megacan.
Yeah, it doesn't really
bad.
taste like anything
It
anything
tastes
that I can
kind of
describe.
like cola bottles mixed with bleach.
Or some kind of fuel that has got has been
Yeah,
sweetened.
it's not bleach. It's like, what is that? Oh god, it's foul. I don't think I can drink this. Am I going to be defeated?
It does. It leaves a strange kind of layer on your tongue. Have
I
you
don't
noticed
think we
that?
should be drinking
Okay.
this.
All right.
They might be bad for us. I don't know.
They're definitely bad for us. All Megacans are bad for us.
Shush. I don't come here for the truth. I come here for the news.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk. Whoa. Oh, what are we starting off with today? On my list. Oh, great. Nazis. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, not just any Nazis though. Neukölln Nazis.
Oh, Nazis in my home Bezirk. Woo!
I don't know if you've been aware of this, but there has been a crime spree spreading over the last 5 years, but specifically in 2017 and the beginning of 2018, there was a crime spree that involved a lot of arson attacks in Neukölln, and specifically they were setting fire to anyone who was publicly active against racism or the AfD. So that
Yeah.
a lot of politicians like SPD and Linke politicians were targeted. A bookshop in southern Neukölln called Leporello was targeted, had its windows smashed in, and the owner's car was set on fire. And it went on for quite a long time, and the police sort of identified 3 people that they are pretty sure did it and were behind these attacks, or at least were influential in causing these attacks to happen. They were all 3 of them were known neo-Nazis who were then put under surveillance by the cops, but they were never arrested and never formally, there was never a formal investigation into one thing. They were just like suspected of doing it, but they never found any hard evidence, despite having them under
shocked.
surveillance for like 3 years.
To my core.
And even raiding their homes at one point in the late, I think it was in 2018, they raided their homes, after which the arson attacks miraculously stopped after their home was raided. He's struggling there with your drink.
That's awful. But you know what? We've started it, so we'll finish.
Yeah, it's like
quit.
mastermind here. Yeah, so
That's,
the police, and then about...
University Challenge, actually. But
No, it's mastermind. I started or I finished. It was Magnus. Or maybe University Challenge, doesn't matter. Anyway, I don't want to get into that.
anyway, we were talking...
So, yeah, I'm losing my thread.
Right.
My thread is thin as it is. I don't want to... I don't want to get any thinner.
Yes.
So there were these, and they raided the homes, and they and got what do you call it? Confiscated computers and USB sticks and other kinds of hard drives and everything, and tried to break into them, but they were all encrypted, and they did not manage to break the encryption, despite trying to get help. This is the Berlin police, despite trying to get help from the federal police. And then the Innensenator of Berlin, he's called Andreas Geisel.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also of the SPD, and he commissioned an internal police investigation.
An internal, so this is the police investigating the police who are doing this investigation. Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the results of that investigation were released this week, although they weren't completely released. What they released was an 8-page summary an 11-page summary. The entire thing was left confidential, but we could glean quite a lot from the 11 pages. Amongst other things, one of the big things was that they had a police algorithm for checking how so when they do surveillance, they don't. It's not like one policeman listens to all the phone calls and everything.
Like the Lives of Others style. It's not that.
No, that doesn't happen, apparently. Apparently
No.
what happens is they feed it all into an algorithm that transcribes everything and then look for keywords that are then that are across different things.
Okay.
So one of the things that they noticed was that the algorithm was not primed for anything other than the German language. So when they heard Turkish names, including this one particular left-wing politician who has got a Turkish surname, it transcribed his name wrong, and they therefore did not figure that it was him, because instead of saying, in Turkish there's a C with a little tail on it.
Yeah.
It's a diacritic, I don't know what it's called. The seal with a little tail. They have it in French as well.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
The C with a little tail. It was transcribed that as TSCH, and this was in the report. And then they said, and for that reason, he was never warned. And because they picked up this stuff, but the computer got confused, basically, the police computer. And 3 weeks later, his car was set on fire next to his house, where his mum was inside the house at the time. So the house could have burnt down, And that kind of thing was really bad. And the police said, we should have warned him anyway, because he was a prominent person who was vocally anti-racist in Neukölln. We should have warned him anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't warn him, and we didn't take any preventative measures. And he was very angry about this, among other things.
Shockingly.
And he formed an organisation with other people who were targeted.
Yeah.
And they are pushing now for a state parliament investigation, which would be more open. That's when the parliamentarians of the Berliner Abgeordnetenhaus do a commission. So all the different parties get to have someone on the thing, and it's a more open. It's not like a internal police investigation. And that looks like it's probably going to happen. So there's that.
Oh, okay.
There's stuff like that, and but it kind of just really.
So what were the findings of this report? Like what?
Well, it was stuff like that. It was stuff like, we should have done this a bit better. We should have done that a bit better.
But any you can't... step further, like why we're not doing this better?
No, right. There was nothing like that. No.
I wonder why, considering all of the stuff that we know already about the police and has certainly been in the news recently, about why maybe they're just so bad at catching, prosecuting, or doing anything with the far right.
Yeah. And they couldn't even. And there was a rumor. There was a suspicion that one of the suspects was warned by someone in the police, and that wasn't really followed up on in what was released of the report. Although it might be followed up on internally, but we don't know.
It won't be. Obviously, we've had a spate of the German police, being outed as having these right-wing views. There's 29 of them have been suspended in North Rhine-Westphalia, and then this week a similar kind of chat group came to light in Berlin, where they were saying really racist stuff in chat groups with their superiors, who seemed to sort of approve, and also were saying things like describing neo-Nazis as possible allies at left-wing demos and stuff. So once again, the call is coming from inside the house. You've got a major right-wing Nazi problem, my friends, and that's why you're not catching any Nazis.
Probably, yes. I mean, they're kind of, I don't know. It's just noticeable that this keeps popping up. But I think, and it is also true that there's loads more attention on it now than there was before, and I think that there would not have been, this report would not have been as public as it was if it hadn't been for all the kind of public pressure and people asking questions about it. And there is the police, but it's also true that the police were definitely trying to protect their own officers in the report, which is why they probably kept a lot of it confidential. Not
every police officer is a Nazi, but every police officer is a police officer. And there is, particularly in institutions like kind of the police, there is this very ingrained kind of, we are all in this together for, they have to be, and it is this very we will protect our own. And that is fine until you can't do that when people's lives are in danger. Like this just seems very basic stuff that we're
Yeah.
like, my students can get it. We talked about this today.
What did you talk about?
Like, why this doesn't work and why we need reform sort of within the police. And they were like, yeah, well, you see, the problem is if you only have the police investigating the police. I was like, and they were like, yeah, I don't think that'll work. I was like, yeah, imagine if I said, okay, guys, year 11, just you amongst yourselves are responsible for monitoring your own behaviour in class. It's just you, no one else. And they'll start to laugh. I was like, what would happen? What consequences? Nothing. And they were like, yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think, do you think there's cause for optimism in that this is becoming much more of a, pressure point? Like, people are asking these questions now. It's not just like people, are not taking it, looking the other way for an answer kind of thing.
Yeah, I live in a sort of Kreuzberg bubble, so it does seem like that's what everyone is talking about, and in the media it's a big thing. And so I don't know if it's really a big issue for most Germans, but I think that if anyone else had been interior minister, there would have been an investigation by now. I do think that Horst Seehofer, because he's like... It's
really become like a bit of the anti-hero of this podcast, because we really started it when he was doing his whole throwing his toys out of the pram. Yeah. If you let any people in here who might die otherwise, I'll leave.
Yeah. And he's just like approaching the end of his career, and he's kind of a big stick in the mud about it all, even though there's obviously like quite a lot of... Like, I think even other CDU ministers would have been like, okay, well, maybe we should do this by now.
I think, and it might not be for most Germans, but I think what happens, and it is way too late, because obviously the people who are really affected by things like this have been screaming about this for years. Like, it's becoming part of, like, if you are a sort of mainstream left or, like SPD, Greens, like those kind of parties that people like, and the Lincoln stuff, like people like you or I might vote for, but who are traditionally obviously like very like white and not super, concerned. Like, you have to have a kind of stance on this. That's kind of my, what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they already did. Probably not. I don't know.
Well, I think the police force are doing more as well. They're trying to do more like anti-racism training and that. A lot of police forces are bringing it together.
Well, that's good. Yeah. But it's going to take, can we move on from Nazis?
So
that's a positive note. We're chalking that up as a... what else have you been doing?
Well, there's a second wave, isn't there? We're riding the cusp of a second wave.
Great.
Of the
so it's Nazis and coronavirus today, is it?
It's apparently, yes.
Great.
So
the numbers are crazy in some places.
Yeah.
Trump has got it. Sorry, I'm really trying not to... Because it's an awful thing.
Well, we don't know how bad he's got it yet. I mean, but yeah, it is.
But what about Germany? How are we doing?
Well, we have like about 2,300 new cases every day, but that is up from
like about 100 or something new.
A few hundred, like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's definitely spreading, and Merkel announced new coronavirus measures this week, and explained what exponential means during the during her press conference.
Someday we will have Merkel on here holding a little Megacan right in that triangle of her hands. It's a perfect Megacan size. She's been sending us a secret signal
that she wants a Megacan.
She wants a little Mega to be put in there and to come on and talk to us.
Right. And exactly, and the as you would expect, the cities of Germany are the most severely affected, and the most crowded parts of the cities are the most severely affected.
Is this just shit news about where I live?
Yeah, so right. in Berlin, it's Mitte, Friedrichshain, Kreuzberg, and Neukölln are all at over 50 new infections per 100,000 inhabitants over 7 days.
Okay,
an average. And that is considered really, really high. Anything over 30 for a city means red on the ample. Yeah. Okay. And Berlin as a whole is on like 26.7 or something, 26.8. It's quite high, ooh. But in Berlin it's in the Mitte it's way over 50, or it's around the 50 mark, and that is considered quite bad. And the most people, do you know which age group is mostly getting infected at the moment?
The young people at the moment, isn't it? It's like 20 to 40?
20 to 29, yeah.
It's just shit news about me today. You and me, Konrad.
Yeah. So they're also getting infected the most, and Munich is also is looking quite bad. So now in a little there was a little bit of political argy-bargy.
You looked at me with delight as you were saying that because you knew I'd enjoy it, and I did.
Because Merkel did a little a video press conference to the CDU leadership where she said something has to be done about Berlin. Yeah. And this was immediately picked up by the right-wing. How many
times she says that over her career? Like, fucking, what is that?
Yeah, something has to be done about it. And everyone said, Merkel's not happy with Berlin. And then she kind of, when she did the press conference, she was like, I've got no problem with Berlin. And it's like a big thing. And working together. Yeah, she is like really concerned, apparently. And they're talking about imposing there is a €50 fine if you leave false information in a bar. You know, like when you get a little form in a bar. Yeah. And you are liable for a €50 fine if you get caught. Mm-hmm. The bar people have to keep the information for a month. Parties are now being restricted to 25 people. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about banning alcohol again, although I'm not exactly sure what they mean by banning alcohol.
I think it means that you basically, from what I understand, it seems to mean that you can't drink outside Spätis.
But you can't buy alcohol in Spätis then?
Well, maybe that's it, yeah. There's no außer Haus Verkauf. But then presumably you can still get it in supermarket.
I think you can. But you can't buy it in a bar then. Bars will have to shut down.
No, because that's in-house.
Oh, okay. So what are we going to do?
Well, I got Megacans at the supermarket today.
Oh, that's good.
So you can do that. Don't worry.
We'll just stock up.
Yeah, well, Johnny and Cola, which is the backups that I got, were 140 today.
So I am drinking this much slower than usual.
It's fucking foul, that's why. I'm sad. I don't even want to drink it, but I've drunk too much of it now to open the other one because then that'll be the end of the weekend. Anyway, right. So the measures aren't, it doesn't seem to be as strict as possible. Is there any Merkel saying something's going to happen? Are people pushing back? What's the chat in the Bundestag about all of this? How are people feeling?
Had 3 days of open big debates. As open as they can be, because under the coronavirus, only a half of the Abgeordnete are allowed in at any one time. And
so who gets to go in? Do they pick lots or?
Probably just take it in turns.
That would make sense.
Yeah, because they'll have to sit really far.
Some kind of arm wrestling outside, but then you're not supposed to be touching, are you?
No, it wouldn't be arm wrestling. It could be ping pong, maybe.
Yeah.
And so the budget was decided.
Good.
And Minister Olaf Scholz broke the iron rule of German fiscal policy.
Oh my God, are we going into debt?
Yeah.
Olaf, my friend.
He said we have to borrow more money to get through because we have to support all these industries and businesses that are struggling.
You have to support people who are struggling, Olaf.
Yeah. And them too, yeah. He's
too.
Whatever.
Once we've paid Volkswagen.
So Germany's taking on 96.2 billion euros of extra debt in 2021.
So where does that money come from?
It comes from the future. It's like pretend future money.
We love pretend future money.
It's what comes. I don't really understand the financial markets.
Jeff Bezos at this point. He's just
who wants some money?
I owe you, Jeff. He's collecting them.
Yeah. So this has caused a lot of concern amongst some of the opposition parties and the CDU, and there's a little bit of more political argy-bargy over the fact that Olaf Scholz is, of course, going to be the SPD's Chancellor candidate next year. And so a lot of people, the opposition parties, are saying, oh, this is your first, Chancellor candidate budget. And what you're trying to do is you're kind of making yourself profile as the next. This is your platform, saying you're going to put Germany into debt and spend loads of money. on all this stuff and so that people like the FDP were like, and the AFD were like, you're deliberately violating the German constitution just for your election campaign.
I'm sorry. The AFD were complaining that someone was violating the German constitution.
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Great.
I mean, I'm summing up. I'm kind of
paraphrasing.
Well,
they're always just going to be like, they're just the ones in the class who are never bloody happy unless they're on top and they can't see it from anybody else's perspective.
Well, they're very,
I suppose that's what politicians do, isn't it? But
yeah. Well, someone in the AFD got done the other day for basically. Well, they didn't get done, but they were caught saying the worse that Germany is doing, the better for the AFD. And I think that is sort of kind of the key to the AFD and populism in general. Is like the more miserable people feel, the more people will vote for the AFD.
Yeah. That's. Wow. Yeah. That really shows.
But otherwise, the debate was kind of a bit boring because they were all like, the Greens, even the Linke and the SPD will sort of say, well, you haven't done that bad, actually, Angie.
So it was kind of like a free debate, but I'd imagine a lot of it was to do with this budget thing, which is obviously linked to Corona, and then a lot of Corona chat, like, how's Angie doing? Let's all give her some feedback.
Yeah.
2 stars and a wish. Or as we do in my classroom, kind, helpful, specific.
What's that?
Like when you're giving feedback.
Oh.
But imagine they were... So what are people thinking?
Well, they weren't being... I definitely don't think the Abgeordnete in the Generaldebatte are being kind, helpful and specific.
No, maybe I should go in. I've got a little cart like with sentence starters.
Good. Yeah.
Pretty much as I'd imagine the AfD were like, you're shit. And everyone else was like, what were you saying? You're fine, Angie. It's a fucking shit show.
There was some criticism of Jens Spahn because he hasn't yet got a long-term testing program in place. But he's presenting one in October, in a couple of weeks. He promised he would. And there's also talk about having air filtration systems for schools. Have you heard of this? They're all saying that where are the air filtration systems that we're supposed to be having?
That would be good because the Luftung is terrible in some schools.
Yeah. So because apparently I heard that theatres can't open unless they have an air filtration system.
Oh.
Like the big theatres. And of course, most theatres can't afford that because it costs really a lot of money. But the big state theatres can afford it, and they are going to do it. But surely, if a theatre needs an air filtration system, a school would too. You'd think.
Yes, we do. Yes. Because when we hotbeds. Okay,
but that'll
be nice.
Happening.
Please give us some air filtration systems. That'll be sweet.
They're supposed to swap out all the air over a certain period, like within an hour or something.
That'd be good. That'd be good. Really nice. Yeah.
So that, and that's it. Have you got any news?
No. I'm very tired of all this Rona nonsense.
Yeah.
But I do think, it's interesting because I've been obviously speaking to my family about it, and we're all over the place in terms of sort of North America and the UK and Ireland and here and Greece. And I do think it is this weird, you obviously compare what it's like in different places, and I do feel very lucky to be in Germany, which then also makes me feel really guilty because it shouldn't. It's just exposed, I think, a lot of shit that happens everywhere else. In America, of course, is prime example. But then I also think everyone engages in this look at the shit show that is America. We're not as bad as that. And that happens with healthcare and racism and the police and coronavirus. I'm that's an incredibly low bar. We cannot really hold the USA as any kind of anything anymore.
No.
But that being said...
Plus the Berlin police algorithm can't tell what a C with a tail on it is.
Exactly.
In Turkish.
Yeah.
So we can't really crow about that we're dealing with racism better than
but
other
potentially
countries.
we can do maybe with coronavirus, but we will see what happens, because I think we're going to have to be locked down again with that like exponential growth.
Yeah.
But the testing seems to be, I can get tests all the time as a teacher without symptoms and for free.
Well, everyone should be able to get tests for free if they want one, actually.
If you have symptoms, I think.
Yeah.
But I can do it, and it's literally, I had an appointment at 3:25. I showed up at 3:20. The allotted time for my appointment was 5 minutes. I was out of there and done by 3:30.
And did you get a test result?
Yes, on the app, less than 24 hours later.
All right. Good. Cool.
It was negative.
When was that?
That was 2 weeks ago, maybe.
And you're doing that every 2 weeks?
I'm doing it every sort of 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that was my first nose one, and what I will say, because I was really nervous about it, but it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, because you hear bad stuff about the nose ones.
You just have to relax, and I did my usual thing of like going in and being like, I'm really, really nervous about this. I'm so nervous. I've heard so many stories. And they're just like, I just fully emote at Germans a lot of the time, and then they kind of treat me as if I'm a simpleton. Right. Which is fine with me. Like, as if there's something, like, I'm just not quite... And they're like, it's okay, and, you know...
Yeah. And you're like, that's exactly how I want you to treat me.
Yes. Yes. Like, I need you to treat me like a child. Yeah. I think that's it. I really childish myself up. Yeah. And then they're kind. So that's my tips.
Okay, don't worry about the nose ones.
Yeah, but do go in and be like, I am terrified. I'm so nervous. You know, maybe cry a little bit. That's always good. That's what I do in EMTA. I've cried in every AMT I've ever been into.
Have you?
Yeah.
And it's helped?
Yeah.
Well, on that top tip for living in Germany is show emotions in the face of bureaucracy.
Yeah, it got me onto a closed flight at Schönefeld once as well.
That was great. What's a closed flight?
Like, I'd missed the flight. They were not taking any more bags, and I hysterically sobbed.
Really? Oh.
And then they called, and they were just like, can we get this woman onto this flight? I was like, yes, you can. Because you don't want to deal with this right now, do you? No, okay.
Oh, and it saved Christmas.
Easter, I think it was, but yeah. All right, well, that's Nazis. I have only finished like half of this.
Yeah, I've
this
got about 2 inches into this.
And I've got a headache already.
I'm not really enjoying it, to be honest.
Well, I won't do that again.
But now we know.
But I feel bad because I had delicious Johnny Walker and cola in the cool bag.
We'll have them after.
No.
Okay. We'll have them next week.
Okay, well, that's your Nazi and Corona update.
Thanks very much for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Wear your masks.